What a crazy day in the market today, right? Goodness gracious. We were down, we were up. It was crazy. I made some moves on MSTY, ULTY, and a couple swing trades, and I also did a day trade on SPY. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today was just jam-packed with some buys. As the market was up, it was down, it was up, it was crazy. We had some crazy moves. Now I don't have any of Broadcom, but I don't know if you saw or not, but wasn't that crazy on Broadcom? Here's Broadcom, look at that. Oh my goodness, what a move, right? I mean, yesterday that thing closed at 306.10 and today it opened at 355.78. What a crazy move on Broadcom. Now, I imagine when it hit that high right there, there were a ton of profit taking, right? That profit taking ran it all the way back down to here. But still, look at this gap. Oh my goodness. That is one heck of a move on Broadcom. And it's all because they had their earnings. As you can see right here, I'll hover over that E for the earnings, and that date was 9/4. It was probably at the end of yesterday because today when this thing opened, it was just on fire. Now I don't have Broadcom, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but that was just one that I saw, and man oh man, if you had bought a call in that one, whoo-wee, did you make some money. As long as you put a stop on it, right? But even if you didn't and you opened it up the day before, you still came out good. I mean, that is just one in a million. You don't see that kind of jump very often. So let's just get back to what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to start off with MSTY. And here we are on MSTY. Now, as you can see, we had a green candle here, a very small sliver of green, right? But look at that wick at the bottom. And I'll zoom in so you can really see. Look at this huge wick on the bottom. This thing was running down, running down, running down, right? It got as low as $14.97. Whew, goodness. So I saw that and I was just thinking, man, oh man, I'm not going to be able to roll that $19 put, right? It never really did get on that RSI 2. It did not get below the 10, so I did not purchase any. But when it started moving back up, the premium started going back up a little bit. Now, it didn't get as high as it did on Tuesday, just because you had that long weekend and the unknown of where it was going to go. And it just really has some juicy premium on that Tuesday. And I just kind of missed it, and it's just one of those times, right? But I did not want to really let this one go out too far, as this one does expire on the 19th. And now I'm showing my trade here. And as you can see, I did roll it, right? I did roll it. Now, I did not get my $70 like I was hoping, because this thing just had a midpoint of about 60. But I tell you, I had it at 60 and it just would not go through, right? I moved it down to 55. It would not go through. And then, of course, the mid dropped down to 55. And then when the mid dropped to 50, I just went ahead and I put it on about 44. And I thought, you know what? I'll take it just to get it from $19 down to 16. I'm going to go ahead and take it because we did have that push up today and just not sure what was going to happen over the weekend, right? Now, I could have waited and possibly got more money, but I didn't want to try to pinch the pennies when my ultimate goal was to roll this thing down. So I decided to go ahead and roll it, and I did. I rolled that $19 put that was to expire on September the 19th. And I rolled it out to January 16th, right? 2026. So I rolled it out about 4 months, but all the way down from 19 all the way down to $16. And so my new strike now is $16. I like that. As that time also going all the way out to January is going to allow MSTY enough time to hopefully get back up above that so it can expire worthless by January. But now for doing that, I did earn that $44, right? So that's still some money in my pocket. That also relieved $300 back into my account because instead of holding that $1,900, it actually only holds $1,600 now, right? For a cash account, you have to have the money in your account to sell that put because it is secured, right? It's a cash secured put. So the bank or your broker or whoever wants to make sure that you have the money sitting and available to buy those 100 shares. So what they'll do is they'll go ahead and they will make that money not available to you. They don't pull the money from your account, but it is unusable, right? You cannot use the money to buy anything, but the money is still there. So I was excited to get this rolled down to 16. I definitely feel a whole lot better. It's a little stress off of me because I didn't necessarily want to buy them at 19. And the only reason and the main reason is because, as you know, I want to get my MSTY paid off. And if MSTY stays around $15, $16, $17, or even $18, anything below that 19, I was going to get put those shares at 19, and that was going to increase my adjusted price per share or my real price per share, right? And I did not want to do that. I do not want to mess that up because right now I'm a little over $3 per share on my adjusted price per share, and I'm looking to get that down to 0. And by pushing this out to January, I think that is going to do well for me. So I'm excited about that. Now let's just go ahead and we'll switch it right over to ULTY. And here we are on ULTY. Now, as you saw on yesterday's video, I had that buy order. And what did I have that buy order at? Well, I had it at $5.40, right? Well, it's gone. Why is it gone? Well, because today that price dropped as low as $5.39. Yes! Oh, I really could not have done better on that purchase, right? I pretty much caught the bottom on the day. The only way I would have done better was to actually set it at the $5.39. But I'll take that $5.40. To me, I pretty much caught the bottom of the day. And it moved back up to about $5.49. So very happy about that. Now it's showing me I have 150 shares at $5.66 per share as my purchase average. That is not my real price per share average or my adjusted price per share average, right? That's not that. This is my purchase price per share average. But either way, I am excited about that, right? I am excited. And the fact we did earn another distribution of that 9 cents. So I will be able to update my sheet, add my new purchases of my shares here that I've made over the last few days, add that distribution, and see what my new adjusted price per share is. I'm excited about that. Go ULTY, go MSTY. So I just wanted to update a little bit on MSTY and ULTY for those. And now I wanted to go over to the swing trades that we've been tracking, and that's on Coca-Cola and Walmart. So we'll start right here off with Coca-Cola. And here we are on Coca-Cola. And woo, we had a red day. Look at that. Ouch, right? Oh my goodness. What is going on? Well, I don't mind it, right? I didn't mind it at all. I ended up buying another couple shares of Coca-Cola. And I feel like I got a pretty good buy price on Coca-Cola. I ended up getting 2 shares at $67.89. Get out of here, right? Look at the low, $67.87. Again, I pretty much caught the bottom. Now, don't get me wrong, that was just pure luck catching the bottom, right? I saw that RSI 2 low here. It's sitting at 6.7 right now. That's below the 10, and I use that point as a purchase point. And that just happened to be pretty close to the bottom for the day. Now, does that mean that it's going to move on up? No sir, no ma'am. No, it does not. Do notice this here, it's a long wick on the top, right? Now, that's a very bearish sign right there. But the one thing, like I said, that I'm keeping a watch on, and the reason why I look at the 1 year and the 5 year chart of these is because this red line, that's the 200 EMA. And look, we are coming right down here to test it, right? So I'm looking for it to test it. Maybe it comes down below it a little bit, just like it did right here. But then I'm looking for this thing to bounce off of it, right? Because long term, if I go to that 5 year, look at this. Long term, this thing stays up above it. On a 1 year term, this thing stays up above it. Now, it did go down over here below it, but what did it do, right? It got back up, right? And then it stayed on top of it once again. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a stock that overall, for the majority of it, it stays above that 200 EMA for that 1 year and 5 year chart. And that's why I have no fear on Coca-Cola. Now, could it come on down and just fall all the way back down to 59 bucks? I guess it could, right? It could. Anything could happen. But I'm going off the history of this thing, right? I'm excited, guys. I'm just excited. I am getting some good buys today. So anyway, that gave me a total of 10 shares at a purchase average of $68.49. I am still pretty close to being at around that price that it's at right now. So I am just so excited here. I am waiting for a bounce and this thing to just go right on back up. And that's what I'm looking for, right? And let's just take a quick look at Walmart. And here we are on Walmart. Now, for Walmart, we had a red day today as well. And I'm telling you, today was one of those crazy days. And we'll take a look at the SPY here in a moment and you'll see. But it was just a crazy stock day. Now I have my stop right here of my 5 shares at 97.25, right? And I set it for this MA right here. Now we did have a red candle. And as I said before, that's kind of a decision that the individual has to make. Do you move it up to the next point up here, or do you stay back here and give it some time and see, is it going to fall on back down, or is this just resting and then going to take back off, right? That's just something that each individual has to decide, right? But do notice this blue line, which is the MA20, it is somewhat bouncing off of that one. So what I may end up doing, now this is after market hours, so it's not going to matter whether I move it or not, because it's actually not going to take effect until Monday morning. But what I may end up doing is moving this 97.29 right up to the next point, and that's that green point. And it also is the intersection of the MA50, which is another indicator that a lot of people use when trading, right? So if I move it up to here, that puts it at 98.26, and it's currently at $100.51. I could put it right there, lock in my protection, and I have my shares purchased at 96. So that's basically a $2.26 move in a matter of a week or so, right? Since I've got into it. So not too bad if you ask me. Now I wouldn't necessarily move it up here because of that red candle, right? I don't mind moving it right here to the candle before. Number one, it's right there on that MA50, although that could be the point where it comes down, tests, and kicks me out, right? Whereas if I stay back here, then I am being protected by that MA50 somewhat, right? If it comes down, test that MA50, it could bounce off it and take back off, right? And I'm still here. But I'm not going to stay down here forever. I'm going to move it on up and follow this MA5 because I'm doing more of a swing trade. It's more of a short-term thing, but I want to ride it as long as I can. I don't want to get stopped out too early, but I also don't want to stay back too far and let it come all the way back down and kick me out, and then I lose those $2 versus staying back here and only making 50 cents, right? So like I said, that is a decision for each trader to make for sure. And it is one that you may have a different decision each time that you have that situation. It's just your feel on it, right? Right now, I'm protected. I may move it right up and just help me to lock in a little bit more gains if it does come back down. And I was debating or not to actually bring this one up. I did buy another stock, and I don't know if you're really interested in a lot of these plays or not, but I did get into a new one today, and it's actually DUK Energy. And here we are. I actually bought DUK Energy, and I got 2 shares at $120.55. Currently, it's at $120.61. So I am up ever so slightly in the play. And why did I get it? Well, we can turn on that Bollinger Band right here. And there we go. As you can see, we are on the bottom side of that Bollinger Band. Now, granted, we are pushing that Bollinger Band out, right? Because we were on the bottom back here too. And here, and here, and here, right? It'll push out if those candles keep coming down. But we also have that RSI 2 down below 10. And it is way below 10, right? It's sitting at 2.02. Wow, that's pretty low. And could this thing keep on coming down? Why, yes, obviously it can. But I'm hoping for a little bit more of a pop-up right here, as we do have some pullback, and I'm looking for it to pop back up, and then I can set my stop and maybe grab a little win right there. But we'll see how that plays out. Now, if you look at the 1-year chart on this one, as that is the first thing I look at, not only just is it the bottom Bollinger Band and is it at an RSI 2 below 10, because every single stock that you can look at eventually will show that, right? But is it a good stock, right? So the first thing I always look at is that 1-year and 5-year chart. Is it staying above it for the most part, and is it moving up? So if we look at that 1-year chart, let's just see what it looks like. All right, there we are on the 1-year chart. And as you can see right there, that red line, that's that 200 MA. And look at it just going right up and to the right, right? We are above it. We do come down and test it, right? We've tested it several times. Could we be coming all the way back down to test it again? Yes, we could. And if we do, that could be putting us at around $114, right? So this could possibly be coming all the way back down to 114. But I'm okay with that as well, right? Why? Because I'm looking at the big picture. And the big picture says this one moves up, stays nicely on top of that MA 200 on the 1-year chart. But what does it do on a 5-year chart? Let's look. Very nice 5-year chart as well, right? There's that 200 MA staying nicely above it on the 200 MA. So I'm super stoked about this one as well. But like I said, I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this one up in the video or not, but I thought, why not, right? Why not? So as you can see, like I said, I've got those 2 shares at 120.55, and we'll see what next week brings. If we can get a nice move up, I'm not looking for a home run. All I'm looking for is this to move on back up, and I can start riding that MA5, right? That's the idea. Now let's just take a look at SPY for the last one here. And here we are on SPY. And you can see we had a red day. But notice the top of the red candle right here, that's actually where it opened, right? It actually opened all the way up here. And it opened at 651.48. Goodness gracious, because yesterday's close was 649.12. So this thing popped up, right? It popped up to 651.48 and then went as high as 652.21 and then started falling back. And this thing fell all the way down as low as 643.33. Ooh, lordy. Goodness, what a ride, right? What a ride. From 652 down to 643. Goodness. But I tell you what I saw when I saw that candle right there. And let's take a look at that 5-minute chart. There we are on the 5-minute chart. Goodness gracious, look at this. If that don't look like a roller coaster, I don't know what does, right? Here you are riding that roller coaster, whee, and then all of a sudden, whee, all the way down, right? Goodness gracious. I mean, this thing, that was a heck of a drop, right? And then what we do, then we just kind of mellowed out, right? So from yesterday's close where we were at over here, right? We did close under that. And that's why we've got this red number, right? Because we did end up dropping that $1.88, which is about 0.29%. But the fact that it opened so high and then fell, oh my goodness. I tell you, when this thing jumped up and people saw this at pre-market and it was at 652 and it was at around, say, 649 yesterday's close, oh, I bet you a lot of people jumped in thinking this thing is going on up, right? We've broke the resistance and we're headed up, right? People probably were buying calls, and then within about 30 minutes or so, and then that happened. A river of red, right? Goodness gracious. That would just destroy your call. And then you just never did recover, right? Then theta just ate it up, if you had anything left. But what did I do? I did not buy a call. I did not buy a put either. I sold a put, okay? And where did I sell my put? I sold my put around the time of about 10:24 is what I'm showing on my phone. And if I look right there, 10:25 right here, that's pretty close to about where it was whenever I saw this price dropping. Now, I had no idea it was going to come on down, right? I just saw it go from here, and then whenever I happened to look at it again, around 10:30ish, and I saw that drop and I said, oh, I want in. So I ended up selling a put, and I sold a put at 644. Now keep in mind, at 10:25, that low was 646, okay? And we had just come off this 652 up here. So I thought, oh, this thing fell down too much. It's going to mellow out and then it's going to move back up. And I'm probably pretty safe at a 644, right? Well, I was. But the problem was it just kept falling, right? It just kept falling. But eventually here it got down to where it was actually slightly below 644. And then it dipped as low as 643.33, right? So I thought, well, if it stays right there, my put will get assigned. And I'll get assigned those 100 shares at 644, right? So that would mean that I would own the stock 100 shares worth at 644. And what would I be doing on Monday? I would be selling that call. And I would hope to be selling it for a few dollars higher for also a day expiration. And that could be some nice coin, right? To make $200-300 in a day. Yeah, I'll take that. And that's what I'm looking to do with SPY. I'm looking to just kind of go in and out of it and just make that premium. And if I get assigned, great. Then I turn around, I'll sell a call. Now, don't get me wrong. When this thing was falling, I didn't know really where to sell that put, right? I mean, because this thing had already broke down. But if we look at the day chart right here, it got down to about right here. It was getting very close to that midpoint on that Bollinger Band. And I saw that and I thought, well, if that midpoint is around 642 to 643-ish area, then I think what it's going to do is it's going to come down, it's going to hit that midpoint, and it's going to want to bounce. Now, also keep in mind, what is also that midpoint of that Bollinger Band for me and the numbers that I have it set at, that midpoint is also the EMA 20. Because if I turn that on, you'll see there's only one blue line. That's because that's also the middle of the Bollinger Band. So I just wanted to also note that as well. So when it was coming down, my thought was it's going to come down. It's going to possibly test this MA20 or the midpoint of that Bollinger Band, and then it's going to want to bounce. And why would I say that, right? What would make you think that? Well, if I go and I turn on that Bollinger Band again, I look at this Bollinger Band and I look at that midpoint right here. Watch this. It goes up. It was coming down. It dropped below it, right? It actually fell all the way below it. And then it came up and it hit it, and the next day it was back up above it and it's bouncing off of it. Over here, came down and then bounced off, right? It did go below it, but eventually it did move right back above it. Here, same thing. Fell below it, moved up above it. And you can see it just keeps wanting to bounce off of that 20. And is it necessarily getting below the 10 on the RSI2 even whenever it drops? Nope. Look at there. That RSI2 is a 20. So if I'm waiting for that thing to get down to an RSI2, I am not going to get too many chances to buy this thing. Now, does it? Sure it does at times, but it's very rare. Now, here we go. And we look, and this is back in March of 2025, right? Well, there's one too as well, and that's also in March, as well as the 1st of April. So you can see, I mean, there's not too many times where you get that opportunity, right? You can see it might drop it for a day, but I tell you, if you ain't watching it, it'll shoot right past it, right? Because look at this right here. It did go below that 10 on the RSI2, and it was at close to the midpoint of that Bollinger Band. But it never did really get to the bottom of that Bollinger Band, right? So that's the reason I was not going to wait for this trade right here to actually break below that Bollinger Band. Could it have? Yes, it could have broke below that midpoint, but I was not going to wait for it because I know this one's going to continue to move up normally. And if I did get assigned at around that midpoint of the Bollinger Band, I'm okay with that, right? Because that midpoint being 640, almost 643, yeah, I would be very fine with that. Even my put at 644, that's not too far off of that midpoint because this thing here has wanted to stay above it. And when it does move back up, all I got to do is sell my call up there and I make the profit, right? So I was super excited about this one. Kind of sad a little bit that I didn't get assigned because it actually moved back up to 647. But I will say, when it was dropping, it was not easy to sell that put, right? It's never easy to decide to make that decision to sell that put because you don't know, am I potentially buying it too high by putting my put at that point, right? And you could be. And that's why if you do not look for a stock or an ETF that normally moves up left or right, then you do not have anything really to help you feel good about the fact that this should be moving back up at some point. Because if we look at that 1-year chart for SPY, you can see it does normally stay right above it, right? Now it did break down below it, but what was happening during this time around March of 2025? We all know of the big drop right there, right? And we then started recovering. As you can see, in about May, late May, we were already back above that MA 200. And what does it look like on a 5-year? Because if the 1 year, if you're not 100% sure on that 1 year, because you see this dip down, even though that is an isolated incident, right? It is normally staying above it, So then you got to figure out, and you look at this and you say, what happened during this time? Well, if you look at a lot of stocks, you had this move right here in a lot of stocks because there was a drop during that time. But if we want to get a little bit more confirmation that this is a stock that normally moves up and to the right, then we take a look at that 5-year. And there we go. There's that 5-year. That red line, that's the MA 200. And man, isn't that beautiful. That graph is beautiful. It comes down and it just kisses it, right? Comes down and kisses it. And then it just continually runs off of it. It tried to come down during that drop that we were showing here in that 1-year chart, but it didn't even make it as low to kiss that MA 200 before popping off and then going right back up. And also notice, we are at the all-time high, right? We made a new all-time high on SPY. We hit 652.21. That is the all-time high. So that's another reason why it was difficult to sell that put. But whenever I was selling it at 644, from that all-time high of 652 from today, yeah, I wasn't too worried about it for today because that was a very big drop in the SPY in a short period of time. Now, could it continue moving on down? It could. Could I get assigned and then be bag holding this thing? I could. But again, I go back to the long term, the 1 year and 5 year chart, which gives me a better feeling that this stock will normally and should move back on up and start moving back up to the right. Now for that position, I actually earned about $80. So not too bad for a day's work there. And we'll take a look at my orders here just to prove my purchases. And there we go. You can see there's that DUK, 2 shares at 120.55. I did purchase a couple more shares of AMD. That one there right now is just a hold for me. KO is a swing trade, 2 more shares at 67.89. Here is the SPY sold put, and I made that $80. Now it says 80 cents, but remember, that's 100 shares times 80 cents. That's $80. There's my roll for MSTY. I had that 19. I did a buy to close, right? I bought to close at 350, and then I sold to open at 394. And there's that 44 cents, i.e. $44, right? Because it's 100 shares. And then the ULTY, 25 shares at 540. So a very exciting day today. Super stoked, excited. Love when we have some nice moves like this and the premiums move on up and we can get some trades going. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.